Chair recognizes Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today, in this second call special session, the first order of business should have been House Bill 1. We should have been debating a bill to restore flood relief to many Texans who lost their lives in the Kerr County historic flooding. But instead, the first bill that we're taking up is a racial gerrymandered House Bill 4 from a mid-decade redistricting that is totally unnecessary. You know, I want to put this in context. Just less than 2 weeks ago, we commemorated and celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And everyone in this body should be extra proud of it because it was signed into law by then Lyndon Baines Johnson, President of the United States of America from Texas, our own Texans. This, in the history books, is one of the most transformational pieces of legislation in our nation's history. It changed literally the course of this country. It righted a historic wrong. And what do I mean by that? Prior to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, people who looked like me, they couldn't serve in public office. In fact, I'm the first African American elected in Fort Bend County as state representative since Reconstruction. And I know I stand on the shoulders of those who made good trouble. What do I mean by that? The people who came before me, whose shoulders I stand on today, they risked their lives to end Jim Crow laws that had literacy tests, that had poll taxes, where people had to recite the Constitution. People had to guess how many bubbles in a bar of soap. Not just people, but African Americans in this country. Because of their risking their lives on freedom rides, because they're risking their lives sitting at lunch counters, because they marched, they protested, knowing they may be beaten with billy clubs, knowing that they may have water hydrants pushed on them, knowing that law enforcement was not there to serve and protect them, but to push them back and enforce Jim Crow. They defied the odds. They pressed forward. Many of them didn't make it back home. Many of them lost their lives because lynching was a way of life. Lynching was common. Prior to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, there was an incident that was captured on national TV called Bloody Sunday. And if you don't know it, you should Google it. Bloody Sunday was when former Congressman John Lewis and other freedom fighters, they marched from Selma to Montgomery for ending Jim Crow so that people could vote of color. Many of them were beaten, including Congressman John Lewis. He was beaten nearly to death by law enforcement because they weren't there to serve and protect. He was beaten to a pulp. He nearly lost his life. He was knocked unconscious. It captured the American people to say, not on our watch do we want to continue to allow this country to treat African Americans this way. And people of good conscience said that they didn't want to be on the wrong side of history. So they came in solidarity with John Lewis and Martin Luther King and others to say, we want to change this. And so it wasn't just African Americans then walking and marching. It was people of good conscience that were Anglo, that were other ethnicities, to say in America, we believe that every human being should be treated with dignity and have the right to vote. Long story short, that was why they passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, because of Bloody Sunday. And here we are in 2025, not 1965, with a racial gerrymandered map that takes us back to those dark days. And why do I say that? Because we have a map where we have the first African-American district that was created after the passage of the Voting Rights Act to elect our own Barbara Jordan, the first African-American to serve in Congress in the South since Reconstruction in the 18th congressional district. That was progress. But here we are with a map that eliminates the progress that was made, the marginal progress that was made in a state that has more African Americans than any other state in the country. You had Barbara Jordan. After her, you had the legendary Mickey Leland. After that, you had the legendary Craig Washington. After that, you had the legendary Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, followed by Congressman Sylvester Turner and his death. It's already a shame that they didn't call the special election after Congressman Turner died in January to put that ballot on May. But here we are today where this map, this racial gerrymander, would now pit the winner of the 18th congressional district with Congressman Al Green of the 9th congressional district, because he is now under this proposed map in the 18th. Congressman Al Green has been a freedom fighter speaking truth to power. And now you're taking away a historic district and 2 African Americans, and you're making Houston pit 2 to 1. And then you go to Dallas. It doesn't stop there. The historic 30th congressional district that was once held by Etta Bernice Johnson, who we memorialized, and her body lied in state. She was a transformational legislator from this body. She was preceded by Congressman Jabson Crockett, our own colleague, former colleague. Now that seat is Congresswoman Crockett was removed from her district into the 33rd to pit her against our former colleague, Congressman Mark Vesey. So we should be increasing African American representation by 50%, but unfortunately, this racial gerrymandered map reduces it by 50%. And I don't know, I feel like Fannie Lou Hamer when she said she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of seeing more attacks on African Americans in this state that has more African Americans than any other state. I'm sick and tired of seeing more attacks on our Hispanic brothers and sisters, because this map doesn't just disenfranchise African Americans, but also our Latino brothers and sisters. I'm sick and tired of this attacks on Black and brown with this anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm sick and tired of us not want to talk about it because we implemented critical race theory, so we don't even teach about it anymore. So I feel the pain of our ancestors who thought they had overcome many of the barriers of the past, that we shouldn't have to relitigate these issues in 2025. Thank God we have the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and this House Bill 4 violates that. It's unconstitutional, and it more than likely will be struck down. But in the meantime, many people, including my constituents that are currently in the 9th congressional district, are going to be disenfranchised. And so I know, as a man of faith, I believe that in a higher power, and I believe that Barbara Jordan would be turning over in her grave to see what we're doing in this body. I believe that Sheila Jackson Lee and Mayor Congressman Sylvester Turner will be turning over in their grave to see what we're doing in this body. And I know many of you probably are like, well, this is just something we have to do. People elect us to be statesmen, to put people before politics. And this racial gerrymander is going to disenfranchise and impact people, specifically people of color, packing and cracking communities of interest to disenfranchise them so they don't have the ability to elect a candidate of their choice. And so I rise today in opposition of this racial gerrymander map and ask you to be on the right side of history and reject this notion, this Texas takeover, and do what's best for the citizens of this state. Not President Trump, not anybody else, but the citizens of this state. They are the ones that are watching. And you may not realize this today, but just like the people that were on the wrong side of history back in 1965, history will be looking at the decisions that is made in this body today. And I want to challenge you, when you look in the mirror, where were you? Were you on the right side of history in favor of voting rights for all? Or were you on the wrong side of history where you're upholding discrimination with this racial gerrymandered map? So I strongly urge you to do the right thing and protect the rights of the vulnerable. That's found in Proverbs 31:8-9. And I'll close with this. It says to speak out for the one who cannot speak, for the rights of those who are doomed. Speak out, judge fairly, and defend the rights of oppressed and needy people.